Welcome to From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers, a podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and hosted by Work Defined. Join our AI co-hosts as they dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Let's get your career started.
Welcome to the deep dive. You know, if you really want to understand one of the biggest, most painful contradictions in the economy right now, it's this.
Oh, yeah?
The jobs that we all decided were absolutely essential during the pandemic.
Right. The ones we couldn't live without.
Those jobs are overwhelmingly filled by people who are treated as, well, completely disposable.
Utterly disposable.
And we're diving into a set of sources today that just lay this disconnect bare. I think this one quote we found really sums it all up.
It really does.
If HR wants to claim a seat at the table, it needs to start by pulling up a chair in the break room.
That's our starting line right there. We're looking at this huge growing chasm between, high-level corporate strategy, all the talk about AI and employee experience.
All the glossy initiative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the harsh reality on the ground for, 80 million Americans? The hourly frontline workforce. Their experience is managed by a machine.
So our mission for you, the listener, is to really get what gets lost in that gap. What human knowledge, what empathy just disappears when HR centralizes everything and starts treating people like numbers on a screen.
Especially when that screen is 1,000 miles away.
Let's jump right into the middle of it with a story, a really powerful one. Let's meet Carlos. He's a warehouse worker in Dallas.
And our sources paint a very clear picture of his day-to-day.
He clocks in every single day, and he's not motivated by a promotion or a bonus. He's motivated by just pure fear of losing his job.
And that fear dictates his entire morning. The research shows him clocking in at 4:57 a.m.
4.57, not 5:00.
No, siempre. Todos los días, he says. Always, every day. And he does it because his company has this high-stakes, no-fault attendance policy.
Okay, so no fault. What does that actually mean for him? Is it just a warning or is it a real threat?
It is the threat. It threatens everything. Being just 1 minute late gets you an immediate strike.
1 minute?
1 minute. And Carlos already has one strike. Why? Because his bus broke down a few months ago. Something totally out of his control.
So no one to talk to, no one to explain it to?
Absolutely not. The policy is intractable. 2 strikes, you get lower scheduling priority. 3 strikes, you're fired. Instantly.
And the sources are really clear on this point.
Crystal clear. No appeals, no explanations, no arbitration. And I think this is the crucial part. No humans are involved at all. The time clock makes the decision. The system fires you.
That's just astonishing. And it highlights this incredible paradox. You have HR executives spending, hundreds of millions on engagement and culture?
Right, on the employee experience.
While Carlos is living in fear of an automated time clock. How do the sources explain that disconnect?
It really comes down to a chasm, both geographic and, physical. Carlos's job is hard. It's demanding, repetitive, even dangerous.
And the HR team.
They're 1,000 miles away in, a suburban Salt Lake City office. They've never met him. They'll never meet him. So for them, culture is an initiative. For him, the culture is compliance and penalties.
They're managing a person they don't know.
A person they will never know.
And, this gets to the heart of the strategic paradox we need to keep in mind here. These jobs, the ones treated with this automated contempt, they're often the least replaceable labor a company has.
That's it. That is the core strategic failure we're looking at today.
So why are we treating our most vital assets as our most disposable?
Well, let's zoom out from Carlos for a second. His story, as powerful as it is sadly, it's the norm for millions of people.
Right, so let's talk about the sheer scale here. This isn't a small group of workers.
Not even close. We're talking about the hourly workforce. That's over 80 million Americans.
80 million?
Yeah. Based on BLS data, that's more than 3 out of every 5 workers in the U.S. This is the engine. And this engine, for the most part, operates in total silence.
A silence that's born from financial precarity, I'd imagine. I mean, what does the data say about their ability to absorb a penalty or a missed shift?
The financial reality is, it's terrifyingly fragile. 44% of all U.S. workers are officially classified as low wage.
And the median wage there is what, about $10 an hour?
Around $10.22 an hour, yeah. Even Carlos, who's making $17.50 an hour, he's only taking home about $1,050 a week after taxes.
So just enough to get by.
The research calls it just enough. It covers rent, groceries, the absolute essentials. But there is zero margin for error.
And that zero margin piece is so critical. There's that Federal Reserve report cited in the sources. It's just staggering.
It is. It found that 37% of American workers do not have enough cash on hand to cover a $400 emergency.
Just think about that. A busted tire. A trip to the emergency room for your kid.
For most of us, that's an inconvenience. For this population, it's a catastrophic event that can derail everything in an instant.
So survival isn't about climbing the ladder. It's just about avoiding that one crisis.
Exactly. The goal is just preventing that one thing from going wrong.
Which completely reframes what a good job even is. The sources had that really blunt assessment from a CNA, right?
Yeah. A woman named Denise, her definition just cuts through all the corporate jargon. She says, and this is a quote, "A good job is one where you get paid on time and you don't go home crying every day."
Wow.
The goal isn't some abstract mission statement. It's stability. It's dignity.
So the economic reality is brittle, but what are the actual systems enforcing this day to day? This brings us to the technology.
It's all about the tech, specifically what one source calls the algorithmic boss.
The algorithmic boss.
Yeah, and this is where you see that distance between the top and the bottom of the org chart. You have HR leaders debating generative AI,
right,
while the people they manage are just worried about clocking out on the dot so they don't get a penalty, sometimes before they can even go to the bathroom.
And for them, the most important piece of HR tech isn't some fancy new platform.
If you're looking to explore fresh perspectives, dive into compensation tech, or just enjoy a lively conversation and debates about the evolving world of total rewards, you're in the right place. Welcome to Totally Rewarding Chats, where we discuss the future of compensation, benefits, talent, and all things HR tech. I'm Sean Luchins, VP of Product Strategy at Salary.com, bring years of product and development perspective. Joining me is the bow tie wearing, comp tech loving, experienced guru Paul Ryman, founder and managing partner of Novo Insights. Together, we'll be jamming with guests and sharing candid, unfiltered conversations about total reward strategy, compensation technology, talent trends, and anything else we find interesting in the world of HR.
No, absolutely not. It's the time clock. For these workers, HR tech is not an enabler. The analysis is clear. It's an inhibitor. It's a trap. That time clock is the main and often the only interface they have with the company. And it's almost always punitive.
And there's a perfect example of this algorithmic boss in action with the story of Marcus the barista.
Oh yeah, Marcus's story is incredible. He gets penalized for being late. Why? Because the company's own scheduling app didn't update his new shift time until 11:45 p.m.
Long after he would have gone to bed.
Exactly. So he shows up at his normal time, finds out he's late, and he gets dock pay.
And there's no recourse.
None. As one of the Harvard Business Review pieces in our sources puts it, this is rule enforcement by an algorithm that has zero context for the circumstances and challenges that these workers face.
And it gets even worse when a company's own rules, like safety rules, clash with faulty tech. The story of Donnie, the deli supervisor.
Donnie's story is it's a perfect storm. So she's a deli supervisor in Mesquite, Texas. She is legally required to wear gloves for food safety.
A basic requirement of the job.
Right. But her company upgrades their time clock to a new RFID badge scanner.
And I think I can see where this is going.
Yep. The safety gloves she was required to wear blocked the scanner from reading her badge. It was a known issue with the new system.
So what happened?
She got a written warning and lost 40 minutes of pay. Her manager saw it happen, reported it immediately, but the system's decision stuck.
Wait, so the company's safety requirement is literally the reason she loses money?
That's the indictment of the system right there. But it gets worse. When Downey tried to fix the error, she fell into an even bigger corporate trap.
The BPO?
The BPO. She learns that corporate outsourced the entire payroll and time system to a third-party vendor, a business process outsourcing firm. It means it's almost impossible to fix. And she has this stunning realization. She says, I've worked for this company for almost 5 years, and I've never actually worked for them. It's crazy.
And the money, the 40 minutes of pay.
She never got that $18 back, ever.
The sources have a name for this whole system.
They do. They call it Taylorism set against the dystopia of late market capitalism.
Which is a fancy way of saying
it's micromanagement by machine. The foreman has been replaced by an algorithm. And you can't reason with an algorithm. You can't explain your situation. It's not about optimization. It's just an automated system of penalties.
And that brings us to why this whole broken system just keeps going. It's fear. Fear enforces the silence.
Absolutely. The workers we hear from, they get it. They know what happens if they speak up.
Retaliation.
Retaliation, yeah. But it's subtle. It's not always getting fired. It's things like getting your hours cut, getting put on the worst shifts, or what one security guard called being written up until you quit.
They even have a name for that process.
They do. They call it coaching.
Coaching? Wow.
The message is loud and clear. Engagement will be penalized. Silence is survival.
So because management won't provide a safety net, the workers have to build their own.
They do. And the real people platforms are these informal peer-to-peer networks.
Subtexts, right.
Group texts, sharing rides, cash apping someone lunch money, unspoken agreements to cover a shift when you know the system has screwed someone over.
There's that great line from the research.
Yeah, that there's more HR happening on folding chairs in the break room than in all the people platforms combined. The real human resources are the humans themselves.
So let's be really concrete here. When you ask these workers what they actually want, what they need, it's a world away from corporate wellness apps.
It's so practical. The list is about basic human dignity.
Like what?
Clean bathrooms, predictable schedules so they can arrange childcare, time clocks that actually work.
It's so basic.
It is. One worker just wanted a place to sit down because he'd had 3 knee surgeries.
Yeah.
But above all, it's dignity. One person said, treat me like a human, not a barcode.
They're not asking for culture. They're asking for control.
Control, not culture. That's the key.
And this brings us right back to that huge strategic failure we talked about at the beginning. Because these jobs, we're talking elder care, restaurants, logistics.
The essentials.
They're the most essential, and they are the least automatable jobs we have. Yet the people doing them are completely excluded from the conversation.
They've been ghosted by the HR function. Which, when you think about it, makes relying on automated punishment not just a moral failure, it's a massive strategic liability. This labor is irreplaceable.
So what's the solution? What's the imperative for HR leaders who are listening to this and want to bridge that gap?
It's shockingly simple, but it's not easy. It requires showing up. HR has to stop hiding behind policies and surveys and tech.
You can't manage from an office 1,000 miles away.
You can't. The imperative in the research is this, and I'm quoting, you can't outsource empathy. You can't automate dignity. You have to show up.
What does show up mean in practice?
It means get on the floor, walk the warehouse line, ask people what is actually broken, and then, and this is the important part, shut up, listen, and then go fix it. Fix the operational problems before you launch another engagement survey.
So to pull this all together for you, the listener, the main takeaway is really clear. The biggest problems that frontline workers face:
punitive attendance, last-minute scheduling, fear of speaking up.
Right. These are not unsolvable issues. They are fundamentally human resources problems that have been masked by bad technology and, frankly, by distance.
And if you connect that to the big picture, that final quote from the sources really captures the power dynamic here.
Remind us what it is.
When you say your company is in the people business, remember, those people are watching, and they're counting on you.
We've spent this deep dive talking about the immense cost of survival for the individual worker, but maybe the bigger question we should leave you with is for the organizations themselves. If these so-called disposable jobs are actually your most essential, your least automatable, how much risk are you really taking on by relying on automated fear? By treating your most critical labor as your biggest liability?
We've seen the cost of survival for the worker, but what's the true long-term cost of indifference for the organization?
Something to think about.
This has been From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. Each episode, we dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Subscribe to this podcast for free now, so you don't miss an episode, and visit www.collegerecruiter.com to find your next great job.